Hey everybody, welcome to One Beer With. I'm Dan Murphy. This is my series where I sit down and drink some beer with people that I find to be particularly interesting. So today I am here on the muddy banks of the Tonawanda Creek, and I'm joined by the one and only, it's the Barefoot Dog Trainer, it's Josh Moran. Josh, welcome to One Beer With.
Thanks for having me, man.
No problem, no problem. Having a little bit of Shiner Bock, you're having the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
All right, cheers. Okay, very cool.
Super happy they recently started distributing this to me.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? It's got a little bit of a kick to it. I like
used to have
it.
to con my Texan friends to bring it up.
Yeah, it's a little bit more convenient now. Well, in the interest of full disclosure, Josh is my cousin. But it's not nepotism that brought you here today.
Absolutely.
When I decided to do this show, my idea was actually to do a little interview with people I just thought had interesting stories, interesting individuals, and I think you are. You're the head dog trainer at Canine Companions, right?
Canine Connection.
Canine Connection. I'm sorry, I knew that name was slipped. Explain to me what your role is there and how you got involved in Canine Connection.
Well, my role there now is essentially I'm in charge of the vast majority of the dog training that goes on there. Not necessarily all of the dog training, but in private lessons, I'm usually the person that people are working with. So when people are coming in to do a one-on-one session where they want to fix a specific issue with their dog, and I say fix in a general term, but if they want to work on something that their dog is struggling with, most commonly we're contacted for aggression.
Okay.
So dogs who have issues with people, dogs who have issues with other dogs, or dogs who have issues with both. So I work primarily in a one-on-one training setting where people bring their dogs in to me. We sit down, we talk about how we can help them improve the situations that they're kind of stuck with in some of this different cases.
Now, when you find the dog's aggressive, do you find that it is always the sign of the owner? Is it the dog itself? What leads to a dog being aggressive? Is it something that's innate within the dog, or the way it's treated or both?
Well, first, I always preface that by number one, defining aggression. And first and foremost, that's the intention to do harm. So when people are talking about aggression, a lot of times they're talking about a dog who's barking aggressively at the end of the leash and is essentially bluffing. The dog is making a huge show of things, but realistically, they're just trying to create space between themselves and somebody else. Many people don't think about that aspect of dogs, but it's the number one case that we run into when we're dealing with aggression. Think about why dogs bark at a mailman. They bark at him because it works.
Yeah, because the mailman comes to the house, they bark, and the mailman leaves.
He runs away.
And every day, the mailman still leaves when they bark, so in the dog's mind, it's chasing the mailman away.
Very similar to what happens. You're walking your dog down the street, your dog flares up, barks, acts crazy towards another dog, and that person goes, wow, look at that, and keeps walking. To that dog, excellent, this is how I keep myself safe.
So it's a positive affirmation.
So it really starts to turn this into something that the dog views as, I must do this to keep myself safe. So in many situations, we're not looking at, oh, it's that thing's fault, or it's your fault. It's a team effort. The sabers suck because everybody takes it, not because there's just one person.
Very good point.
Right?
Yes.
So everybody has to be involved, and I always talk to people about the fact that it is essentially a team sport. It just so happens that you're running two different plays.
Yeah.
So when that's the case,
And you need better draft picks.
exactly.
The problem. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So as far as aggression, it's almost always a problem stemming from a whole bunch of different problems. Realistically, the dog is almost always terrified of something.
Now you've had a lot of experience dealing with like the most maligned dog breed off. In short, if somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, Josh, the neighbors next door, they moved out, a new family's moved in, they've got a pit bull. I've got young kids, I'm scared." What do you say to them?
The pit bull is a very polarizing topic in the world of dogs, and rightfully so. There's a lot of people that would like you to believe that pit bull was considered a nanny dog and used to. None of that is true. There's actually no evidence to say that anybody with a solid brain in between their ears is going to use a dog as a babysitter. And if they do, they're stupid. In many
And that's regardless of the breed
I
of
don't
the dog.
care if it's a dachshund or a pit or a golden retriever. They're not babysitters.
Right.
And when people are treating those dogs that way, it's really a failure on all aspects. So if somebody's to move in and they say, look, somebody moved in a pit bull next door, I'm not necessarily so concerned that it's a pit bull as I am, well, are they fully in control of the dog. Do they have the means to communicate with this dog effectively enough to stop it from doing things that are dangerous to itself and others? Is this dog getting a healthy outlet for the massive amounts of energy and drive that it probably has? And if the answer to that is no, well then yeah, that's probably something you want to kind of stay away from. But that's not, again, it's not a pit bull issue. It's a dog issue.
Right, a dog issue. You're right. Okay. It's a relationship between the dog and its owner.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of people that view certain breeds of dogs differently, and I think that's absolutely on point. You have to view different breeds of dogs. I mean, earlier we were talking about a golden retriever having a much higher desire to chase a bird than, say, a basset hound.
Yeah.
Well, you can't point that out and then point out that a Jack Russell is much more likely to try and kill your guinea pig than a golden retriever.
It's a rabbit. It's
exactly. Right. And then say, well, a pit bull would never have aggression. That's what we bred them for. The first sport that the pits were used for was called bear baiting. We took a bear, we put a muzzle on it, tied it to a pole, sent 3 or 4 dogs out there, and we saw who when that was made illegal, went on to bull baiting. It's now just a hell of a lot easier for people to hide dogs in their basement than it is a bear or a bull. So that's where dogfighting comes from. It's a sport to most people, which I think is a silly use of the word, but it's not so much about the breed as it is how the dog is being managed, not even how it's raised, but how is this dog being managed in its everyday life.
And not to dwell too much on this particularly, but if a dog like that is involved with fighting, if it's trained to fight by the owners, is there any hope for rehabilitation, or is that just hardwired into the dog at that point?
It's absolutely an opportunity to rehabilitate the dog, and it's not a guarantee. There's some dogs who genetically are truly aggressive in an unpredictable manner. They just want to do harm for the sake of doing harm. So some dogs that are trained to do fighting with other dogs, they're not able to be rehabilitated, but the vast majority of them are. If you look at most of the Michael victims, almost all of them are now living happily in homes with other dogs. So it's not something that's, hey, this dog has been taught to fight, it's totally screwed. That's sometimes the case, but that's also sometimes the case from a genetic level with no training whatsoever. If you see a dog around a squirrel, it doesn't bark, it doesn't lunge, it doesn't scream and make noise, it silently wants to kill that animal. That's present in dogs to a very, very small degree just because. And it's not, oh, that's a squirrel, oh, there's another dog, I want to get that. I oftentimes look at those dogs as a dog you can manage, you can live with, but you can't rehabilitate to the sense that you can put that dog in dog daycare.
Okay. Now, what about you? What led you to go down this field? At what point did you decide you wanted to? Because quickly, at one point, a few years back, almost 10 years back now, I was between jobs. I took a part-time job as a dog control officer, which I got a lot of heat for. And my buddies picked on me because I'm a college graduate. I've written books, I write for magazines, and I'm a dog catcher. But it was really the most rewarding job I've done. It's a little part-time thing I did, work with the local police. But being able to investigate cases of dog abuse and rescues and locate lost dogs. I really like the vibe of working with dogs in that capacity, but life just kind of brought me to it. It's nothing I thought I'd ever want to do. And I kind of got away from it, but I put in my time and I really enjoyed it. What brought you to this point? How did you get involved in training dogs?
I got into training dogs because my younger brother had found a very large dog on the side of the road, happened to get bit. I still have him to this day. He is the reason I'm a dog trainer. My brother found him on the side of the road. He was an absolute monstrosity of an animal to live with. I'm talking about a dog who would remove your cell phone from your hand and crush it, and then just go do something else as though it's just, that's what we do. Wow. I got involved in training dogs because all of the things that I had done throughout my life of living with dogs and owning dogs failed to make any headway whatsoever.
So everything that you thought was right, and everything you tried doing at that point. Okay.
It had absolutely no impact on me whatsoever. So I had to get in touch with another dog trainer, and I contacted the guy I still work with now, Tyler Muto, and I contacted him. He came out, we did some training together, and it was from that moment, oh man, I didn't even know you could get paid to do that.
Yeah.
For me, dog trainers before that moment were the people hanging out at PetSmart.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all I knew of. And when I found out you can do so much more, I was borderline unemployed. I worked 2 days a week, sometimes at a local bar as a bartender, barback. So the rest of my time was spent with my dog. And so once I started being able to get him under control, I realized there's a whole universe of things you can do with a dog that I never knew were possible. So I basically became a dog trainer out of sheer persistence. And,
now, what about this? I found in owning a dog that's a 9-year-old golden retriever. It was the first dog I've owned. I had a dog when I was a little kid, too young to really forge that relationship, that bond with it. You know, I found that there's almost a spirituality with the dog that once you begin to understand the dog, or any pet really, but dogs in particular, because it's so closely tied to humans in terms of the way that they were brought up, the way they were modified from coyotes, wolves, and bred to meet our needs, really. That there's a spiritual aspect where you begin to see the world through the dog's eyes. And you begin to see things that you wouldn't otherwise notice because you see your dog noticing that. Have you picked up on anything like that, or is that something that you see, or have you, is that real, I think? Or is that just something where you're putting your own emotions into an animal?
No, I don't believe that at all. I mean, there's a profound amount of information that's coming out now about how different dogs are from every other species of animal on the planet as far as learning. And I mean from a very natural standpoint. Like you can teach chimpanzees to follow a finger point. You can teach almost anything to follow where you're pointing, but dogs don't really taught that.
Right.
Dogs follow a hand point without any precursor to that learning.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that's been coming up a lot in the world of dog training now is a concept that we oftentimes refer to as dogmanship, and it's kind of a twist off of natural horsemanship, Buck Brandon, Pat Pirelli, Ray Hunt, stuff like that. But to me, dogmanship is what exists in that space between me and the dog. It's not science. It's not just I'm giving you this, so you must do that. And dogmanship is that relationship between you and the dog that there's almost no real tag you can put on it other than that's the relationship I have with this animal. Nothing ever is going to touch that.
Does that change from dog to dog? Or maybe it's too tough for you to tell because you're so closely associated with that pet, although you own other dogs and work with many other dogs. Or do the same things you learn and work with that one dog extrapolate and work with multiple dogs? Or is it a one-to-one connection each time out?
It's a little of both. Okay. So what I love about dog training is it's not paint by numbers. There is no step 1 through 5, and this is how you get a well-trained dog. There is a bazillion different ways to teach a dog to do damn near anything, and that's what I think is so cool.
But not a new trick. It's one dog.
So there's a lot of different ways that you can train a dog to do almost anything, and I think what's great about dog training is I can take something that works with this dog and apply it to the next dog, and it won't make a difference. But there's also, I can take the same thing that didn't work on the second dog and it'll work on the third dog. So there's a huge variety of that.
So if somebody gets a new dog, what do you think is the first thing that you would tell? And I'm going to be wrapping this up in just a moment and finishing up our beers here before our Shiner box go cold, go warm. Going cold would be a good thing. But what is the first thing that you tell somebody who's bringing in a new dog? What do you need to prepare for, and what are the biggest misunderstandings that are out there? With a lot of pets, they'll bring in a cat or a bunny or something like this, not realizing that there's a time commitment, that there's a level of care and exercise and things like that. If somebody's bringing a dog as a new member of the family, what's the biggest thing that you think people tend to overlook or need to know?
Well, as my friend Patrick always likes to say, Patrick Burns, most people who think they want a dog really want a cat. They want an animal that's going to eat out of a dish, go in the box, be there when they come home, and that's pretty much it.
Right, an animal to pet and then go away.
Exactly. Dogs are a huge investment of time, energy, and money. So when we're talking about that, I think the things that people generally overlook with a dog is the amount of fulfillment that animal is going to need to be truly balanced and to be a harmonious member of a family. And that's not just, I took him for a 10-minute walk. You have to spend a lot of time teaching the dog how to live with human beings.
Very cool. All right, we're about to wrap it up. Canine Connection, that's where you're at. You are. Website, you have your blog. Is there anything you'd like to plug real quick?
Barefootdogtrainer.com, that's my blog. Instagram, Facebook, you name it, tend to be out there.
Sounds good. All right, Josh, thanks for coming on, man. Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching.